across the United States. We are seeing examples um, of what's to come. We're seeing a lot of local legislation. And I always say this. I always say this. The deep state, the teeth of the deep state is your local sheriff, and the roots of the deep state is in your local government. It all begins there. Municipalities across the United States have been slowly criminalizing homelessness. They have, and I'm talking from the East Coast to the West Coast, from the Gulf of Mexico to Canada. They are forcing people into shelters. A lot of towns are coming up with these ordinances that it's a crime if you're homeless and you must seek shelter. You have to go to the town shelter and stay contained. They don't want anyone living outside of the system. And they definitely do not want anyone taking money from the government in any kind of shape or form and living on their own someplace. They want you in society, accounted for, under the microscope, the whole 9 yards. And there's a bigger picture here. And I don't know if you simple-minded people can understand this, but what's going on in the world is you will see a large number of people dying off pretty soon. And what you're going to see is eugenics taking place, in which only a certain group of people will be allowed to have children, and those children will be allowed to grow old and form a more perfect society. A lot of people of lower consciousness will start dying off. I'm not saying that's a bad thing or a good thing, but there's a squeezing out process in the meantime that you and I are going to be caught up in, okay? Kind of like that word collateral damage, okay? That's what we're going to be. So you're seeing this across the board. You're seeing the price of real estate escalating. Your local assessors are contributing to this, because if your house is worth twice as much, they're going to get twice as much tax revenue, twice as much property taxes from it. People's property taxes are going up. People are unable to obtain homeowners insurance on properties. Now, as of right now in the United States, about 68% of the homes are paid for. They are predicting within 30 years that number is going to go down to under 30%. Most homes will be under some type of mortgage. And it's going to happen like this. It's really simple. So in Southeast Louisiana, there's one insurance company that's writing policies, and it's really expensive. So the next windstorm they have, people's roofs get torn off, whatnot. Most of these people will not be able to afford to repair their homes. They will have to abandon them and start over someplace else. And now you will see a large land grab by these hedge fund owners who are purchasing all this property across the United States. You've seen it in Hawaii after the fires. You've seen it in California after those fires. You're seeing it now in Florida, especially around Clearwater and Tampa Bay. A lot of homeless people, a lot of people just abandoning their homes. They didn't have insurance. And you're seeing this all across the country. Floods in Kentucky. Some of these properties were owned by multiple generations, and their families got to enjoy these properties. That's the whole point of America, which you got to own your own land, and you can either use it to build generational wealth through money, or you could do it through time. Because if you own property, you don't have to work to maintain the property. You won't have to work a full-time job, that is, and you can survive and live life on your own terms, okay? And the deep state does not want this. The deep state needs all the energy it can get from everyone to stay in operation. So in the meantime, rent's going up, because every time a city like Tampa Bay goes underwater, or a large city like Los Angeles starts burning, a lot of people need to go rent homes, and that causes rental income to go up. so forth and so on. And in the meantime, some of these more independent-minded people are going to say, screw this, I'm going to get me a camper, I'm going to get me a van, I'm going to live here, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And they are finding that that option is no longer available. Now, in America, for multiple generations, Americans enjoyed the opportunity and freedom to jump on their horse and wagon and go west. Okay, like that was always an option for Americans. Now, I don't know if you've been paying attention to maps lately, but look at a map of the United States. Anything west of the Mississippi River, most of that land is owned by the federal government, by the Bureau of Land Management, and they just continuously keep sucking up more and more property. You cannot camp on any of these properties, and if you opt to buy or purchase a piece of property, you cannot just put a camper on it, like Jack Powers is finding out right now. You can't put a $40,000 camper on it because they have these local anti-homeless laws that make it impossible. In the past, it was impossible to get water service and to get electrical service, so people will start living off grid on private property, and now that is no longer an option because a lot of these small counties are adopting these large Agenda 2030 policies that condemn people who try to live life on their own terms. And in the meantime, more and more homeowners are going to be losing properties due to insurance, not having insurance, suffering these natural disasters that are so common nowadays that, you know, there's a ton of conspiracy theories of, is the weather being manipulated and used to flood some of these people out, because it's happening so often and in areas that's never flooded before in history. We've seen it in Tennessee. We've seen it all over the place in the United States. And land that isn't occupied by any county or any municipality, not county, but municipality, is occupied by the Bureau of Land Management. It's some kind of federal preserve, and you cannot squat on that land. It's getting to be where you have no option. You cannot buy a piece of property, dig a well, and put solar panels up, because the local sheriff, the teeth of the deep state, is going to show up on your property like Jack Powers is discovering right now, and they're going to run you off. They're going to utilize other options of having you removed, and that's what these new homeless laws, these new anti-homeless, anti-camping policies are. And it's designed to criminalize poverty and criminalize freedom-minded people who want to live outside. You know what? Some people don't mind. Like, some people would rather live on an empty piece of land in a camper with a well on their own 2 feet, not worried about paying this obscene amount of money to survive, growing their own food, having their own chickens, raising their own eggs. You can't do this anymore. More and more counties across the United States, because of these imaginary bird flus, they banning people from having more than 5 chickens. You can only have 5 hens now in most counties and parishes across the Deep South. They have furious restrictions on any kind of building. You cannot build new construction on property that you just purchased unless you go to some Fortune 500 company contractor and have them pay them an obscene amount of money to use substandard building materials to build you a home. You cannot build your own home using brick and mortar, as Jack Powers is now discovering. So I use Jack Powers as an example because this is currently happening to him, and he has released a bunch of YouTube videos about it. detailing all the harassment he's receiving from his local sheriff. You know, these Walmart patriots who believe their local sheriff is a constitutional sheriff. No, your sheriff is not a pro-constitutional sheriff. He is a pro-pension sheriff. He wants his pension, and he will run you off your own property if you are not following the rules of the deep state. So that is what's happening this week. There are lots and lots of news articles reflecting a whole rash of new laws and ordinances designed to punish people who are camping, who are homeless, or who want to make a home on their own land. So this is why you should pay attention to this if your local county or municipality is putting these type of laws on the book. Pay close attention, because maybe perhaps they are attempting some type of major land grab in the future. Perhaps there's oil under your land or coal in the mountain behind your home or something like that, and they want to move you off of it. And they will start these new homeless laws, because when whole entire towns and cities are damaged from hurricanes like Tampa, Florida, and all the residents return and say, hey, we're going to camp out on our property and slowly rebuild our homes the best way we can, the local sheriff comes in and says, no, you're not. You will sell your property to this hedge fund owner, or we will arrest you and seize the property under asset forfeiture statute. So this is a very real scenario, and just because it is not happening in your hometown today does not mean it won't happen in the future. So pay close attention to unreasonable appreciation and real estate values, property tax hikes, pay close attention to, and homeowners insurance. Insurance companies pulling out of your region. There is intention behind this. They have plans for the land that you live on. So pay really close attention to these things when they happen in your community. So.